Creating reptile paradise is one of the most thrilling and rewarding things when it comes to our industry. Literally creating something from nothing and making something extraordinary. I'm James, guys, and you're watching Blue Dog Reptiles. Today we're going to show a finished product. Now, mind you, the water feature is not running, and I will explain why that is here in a minute. But let's talk about creating a do-it-yourself, a DIY setup. A lot of times that's what happens when we get these big, beautiful enclosures. We don't want your run-of-the-mill fake plants, fake driftwood. We want something extraordinary, something that our animals will be thrilled to live in. So creating a DIY paradise is what it's all about. It's what pushes us to do better for our animals. And in doing that, our animals are happier and they live longer. And studies have actually proven that animals in these big, beautiful setups, I mean, I guess beautiful doesn't have anything to do with it, but you know what I mean. So we start from something like this. This is phase one. This is just an empty tank. We blacked out the sides. We drilled for misting heads. We drilled for the drain. And now comes the inspiring part, is figuring out what to do next. Now, what to do next moves us over to tank number 2, is creating something out of nothing. Creating the ultimate paradise for our animals. And I wanted to show you a little bit more in depth on this. Now, we did have, you notice that there's water in here? Yeah, there's not supposed to be water in here. So what we have here is an enclosure. Now, can anybody guess what animal is actually going to be going in this enclosure? This enclosure will have water. There's actually going to be a platform that sits up on here because I'm actually still designing it. Then we have a drainage layer. Now, down underneath here is actually where the drain is. I have the egg crate right here, but I actually put rock underneath for my drainage layer so that the water can move underneath freely, and then it can build beneficial bacteria on the rocks in the water. Then we're going to put screen on top of this, and then we will go through and cocoa everything. Now, I do enclosures a couple of different ways. Sometimes I normally just paint them, but I wanted to do something different. I wanted to do something more natural, and that's why I am going with the cocoa. Now, this section right here is actually something I just added. Now, down in here, you'll notice that there's a tube coming out of where this foam is. And that's actually going to be attached to the pump. The pump is going to then push water and come down, and the water is actually going to jet out here, creating a stream. And then this will have filtration, and it'll have like carbon and stuff like that to help with keep the water clean and then also filter it. So this is phase 2. This is what inspires us. And guys, literally, and I'm not bragging here, I've done a few of these, but originally I had no idea what I was going to be building in this setup. I just started building it, and then the animal literally came to me later. Have you guessed? Have you guessed what's going to go in here? This is actually going to be the new sanctuary for our red-eyed crocodile skinks. As some of you may have known, we actually had babies that were born, and the enclosure that they're currently in just doesn't suit it anymore, and we wanted to do something nicer for them. Now, the babies do have a little bit of growing up to do before they can be moved, and that is perfectly fine because this tank has at least a few more weeks being built, and then we want also to give the plants and cleanup crews time to get established. So that is tank number 2. Are you inspired yet? You should be. Next up, we have tank number 3. Now this tank is actually done. I've been transplanting and moving plants all over, and I don't know how well the creeping ficus. So the creeping ficus actually came from our other vivarium, and it's temperamental on a good day. And so I am not holding my breath that all of it will survive, but some of it will. And then what I want to happen is it just take over, just crawl everywhere. Now, I actually had to build a top right here for the water feature. If I was smart, I'd have done it at an earlier stage, but I didn't. But it's all right. I can make it blend in with plants and all that. But it's so that if we ever need to access the pump or work on the pump, we can remove it and access the pump easily. Now, before I get into the rest of it, don't forget to like and subscribe, guys. You guys are beautiful, and you guys have been outdoing yourselves when it comes to subscribing. Don't forget to share with your friends and family. We love having you guys here. Now, on to why there is water in this tank. So, when I was filling this one up to originally test the waterfall, it had a leak. It happens. We should have tested it when there was nothing in it, but we didn't. And so the entire enclosure had to be pulled down, and the drain had to be fixed. Now, what I didn't know is my buddy that helps me with plumbing connected all the drains. So when this one has water and it's up here, it pushes water over into this enclosure, which I did not want since it's still being built. But that's all right. It's not a problem. We do have the misting heads going, so it's fine. I don't need water in it right away, but it would have been nice. But anyway, guys, so one of the issues we had was that the waterfall, it looked too boring. And don't worry, I will give an update when it's actually fully running and everything. But it looked like just a kitchen faucet, just a stream straight down. There was nothing special about it. I didn't like the way it looked. And so I actually jammed a rock up in there to displace it. And then I took this piece of flagstone so that the water would hit it and disperse off of it. Now, I also have some pieces of flagstone down here below so that the animal, which I actually have an animal in mind already for this enclosure, has a place to kind of chill out on the water. And then I put rock down below because we're not going to do any live plants down here. We might do some like moss or something in the bottom, but nothing that needs crazy amounts of light. We are going to have fish down in each one of these bottoms, so that's really exciting. Can you guess, by looking at this habitat, what kind of animal would be ideal for it? Now, the animal that I want to put in here isn't going to be able to live in here its whole life, and that's because it will outgrow it. But right now it's in a 12 by 12 by 18, and that is just too small for it. It needs more room to move around and more water to play in, since it kind of is in its name. And if you haven't guessed so already, guys, not the Chinese, but the Australian water dragon is what we are putting in this enclosure. So tell me what you guys think, guys. Creating DIY paradises for our reptiles is amazing. And it's so rewarding when you get this enclosure. Yes, this enclosure is still very young. It was just finished, but seeing an enclosure come from nothing and go in and become something is absolutely amazing. And I have one last thing to show you. Now, you may ask where all those plants came from. The vivarium that we are also redoing is this one. Look at this. Now, one of the amazing things is the original concept. Oh, well, look. a zebra isopod. One of the crazy things about this enclosure was that it was just it. I had created the rock wall in the back, and I wanted the creeping ficus just to climb on the rock. But something unexpected happened. The creeping ficus took off, and it engulfed the whole tank, which was beautiful in its own right. And since I've been removing plants from this side, it's crazy to see how it worked its way through everything. You can see all the root structures and how this came from nothing like this to something beautiful. So be inspired, guys. Dream big. Let us know down in the comments what beautiful scapes you guys have created, and always make paradises for your animals because they'll love you for it. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time.